Bhagavati Ashtarasi Srimad Divine Grace of Haichananda and the Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Brihat Mridanga Chancellor Book Distribution ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Nittai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to some of the devotees. All glories to some of the devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Padasavadaya. Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Bachani Nilisesa Sunyavadi Pastachari Shatarni. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 18, entitled Parikat Cursed by a Brahmana Boy. Text number 7. Nanu dveshti kalim samrat saranga iva sarabhuk kusalanai Kushalanai Ashu Siddhanti Netarani Kritani Yat Nanu Dveshti Kalim Samrat Nanu Dveshti Kalim Sangrat Saranga Iva Sarabhuk Saranga Iva Sarabhuk Kushalanya Shusidyanti Kushalanya Shusidyanti Netarani Kritani Yat Netarani Kritani Yat Nanu Dveshti Kaling Sangrat Saranga Iva Sarabhuk Kushalanya Shusidyanti Netarani Kritani Yat. Sanga Iva Sarabhuk. Kushalanya Shusidyanti Netarani Kritani Yat. Ladies. Kushalanyashu siddhyanti Vitarani kritani yat na never anudveshti envious Kalim onto the personality of Kali. Samrat the emperor. Saramga realist like the bees. Eva like. Sarabhuk one who accepts the substance. Kushalani auspicious objects. Ashu immediately. Siddhanti become successful. Na never. Itarani which are inauspicious. Kritani being performed. Yat as much as. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Maharaj Pariksit was a realist. Like the bees who only accept the essence of a flower, he knew perfectly well that in this age of Kali, auspicious things produce good effects immediately, whereas inauspicious acts must be actually performed to render effects. So he was never envious of the personality of Kali. Purport. The age of Kali is called the fallen age. In this fallen age, because the living beings are in an awkward position, the Supreme Lord has given some special facilities to them. So by the will of the Lord, a living being does not become a victim of a sinful act until the act is actually performed. In other ages, simply by thinking of performing a sinful act, one used to become a victim of the act. On the contrary, a living being in this age is awarded with the results of pious acts simply by thinking of them. Maharaj Pariksit, being the most learned and experienced king by the grace of the Lord, was not unnecessarily envious of the personality of Kali, because he did not intend to give him any chance to perform any sinful act. He protected his subjects from falling prey to the sinful acts of the age of Kali, and at the same time, he gave full facility to the age of Kali by allotting him some particular places. At the end of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that even though all nefarious activities of the personality of Kali are present, there is a great advantage in the age of Kali. One can attain salvation simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Thus, Maharaj Pariksit made an organized effort to propagate the chanting of the Lord's holy name, and thus he saved the citizens from the clutches of Kali. It is for this advantage only that great sages sometimes wish all good for the age of Kali. In the Vedas also it is said that by discourse on Lord Krishna's activities, one can get rid of all the disadvantages of the age of Kali. In the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also said that by the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme Lord becomes at once arrested within one's heart. These are some of the great advantages of the age of Kali, and Maharaj Pariksit took all the advantages and did not think any ill of the age of Kali, true to his Vaishnavite cult. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Jena Tasmai Sigurema Ugam Burudevachalam Pangam Lungai Teginam Yat Gibitam Hamale Sigurum Dinatam Paramananda Maharabam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Again, the verse is, Maharaj Pariksit was a realist, like the bees who only accept the essence of a flower. He knew perfectly well that in this age of Kali, auspicious things produce good effects immediately, whereas inauspicious acts must be actually performed to render effects. So he was never envious of the personality of Kali. So Srila Prabhupada makes numerous points within this purport, and we hope to touch on a couple of them. Srila Prabhupada first of all points out that the devotee of the Lord is a realist. Very interesting comment that Srila Prabhupada makes here. That just like the bees who only accept the essence of a flower, sometimes you see the bees, they go from flower to flower, and they don't waste any time to go up and down the stem of the flower or simply walk along the leaves. I have a bird feeder on my balcony, a hummingbird feeder. And when the hummingbirds come by, they don't waste any time looking at the apparatus, but they go straight to where the nectar is. And they don't waste any time there even. They just go there, they take a quick drink and they're gone. And you can barely keep up with them. Sometimes they bump into each other. There's a couple of them there and they fight over the nectar. It's really amusing. So here, Maharaj Parikshit, he's also being compared to that bee, which is looking for the essence. Of course, there's a lot of terrible things that are here in the Kali Yuga. There's no argument. And sometimes people, they accuse the Krishna consciousness movement of being just pessimistic. Right? Oh, you people, how do you enjoy? If you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that, what are you going to do? You have to be able to enjoy intoxication. Otherwise, how do people communicate? How do you communicate with your neighbor? And you see this practically. People have a problem communicating until it's the evening hour when they get intoxicated. Then they become very friendly. So then you can talk with them, and all of a sudden you have all sorts of friends. So how can you live in society if you don't have intoxication, or if you don't have some dead carcass, unmentionable, as food? Well, what do you people eat? Seriously, what do you eat? They don't realize, of course, that the devotee diet is so far above, so far advanced, and beyond what the materialists consider as food, that they can't even imagine. How can you stay alive, or how can you be healthy? You have to have so much of this and so much that, otherwise how can you be healthy? Or how can you enjoy life without having some illicit sex? Really? It's like Prabhupada gives this comment about his godbrother who went to England and spoke to some, who was it? Marquis of Zetland. And he was inquiring about becoming a Brahmana. Oh yes, of course, you just follow these principles. What is that? The four regulative principles. Oh, impossible. How is that? You can't survive in this world if you don't have intoxication or illicit sex or meat eating or some gambling. You have to have some recreation. How can you survive? So sometimes they consider, or they accuse the Krishna consciousness movement of being just pessimist. But actually, it's the opposite. Actually, we're the most optimistic. Because in Krishna consciousness, there's a plan. Because the materialists, they don't have a plan. They don't have an answer, neither do they have a plan, nor are they practically interested in it. Deha particularadushu atmasanyeshu asatsupi. Tesham pramadanidanam pashanapina pashati. They're so, although sufficiently experienced in their miserable condition, they still don't see what's their inevitable destruction, how it's just right there in front of their face. They don't see it until it has to happen, until they hit that that huge wall. They don't see what's the impending danger that is there in front of them. But here, it's wonderfully described how Maharaj Pariksit, he had a plan. Of course, this age is, as Prabhupada points out here, is a fallen age. There's nothing glorious about this day and age, although we like to tout its our accomplishments. We've been able to get a man to the moon, or they have some super duper weapons that can vaporize everybody. This is advancement. Vaporize everybody, or send them off into space. Who knows where they're going? And this is their advancement. But in actuality, it's a very fallen age. Kaler dosha nidhe rajan. The Bhagavatam describes it. Actually, this world is full of all sorts of faults. There are so many shortcomings. Of course, we don't want to face them, so we have to engage in these sinful activities in order to make the day, in order to make the week. And then Friday, when payday comes, we can take that payment and again immerse yourself in some darkness. Right? Lord Rishabhadev describes, Nunam Paramato Kudate Vikarma. They're mad after this darkness. They want to engage in dark activities because it's their only escape. That's their solution. That's their plan. But here, it's quite the opposite. That although this age is full of bad qualities, we know that manda sumanda matayo manda bhagyo padrita. People are certainly full of shortcomings, and not that we are focused on those things, or that we have an obsession with the miseries of material life. No, it's quite the opposite. There are advantages, certain advantages that we have within this human form of life. Be it as short as it may be, and full of so many, again, shortcomings. Manda bhagyo padrita, lazy, misguided, unlucky, disturbed. So, despite all of this, Srila Prabhupada points out that the Supreme Lord has made some special facilities. He's given special facilities. The Lord is so kind. What friend do you have in this world who will give you so many facilities, so many opportunities to make your life perfect, or to become happy in this life, or to reawaken your relationship with that friend? You don't find that in the material world. People they're very quick to cut you off. Now, as soon as that gratification is not there, okay, well, we'll see you later. Uh, oh, you don't want to give this? Okay, well, it's nice knowing you. Uh, so, uh, this is the case in the material world. But here, the Lord is so kind that by the will of the Supreme Lord, uh, the living being does not become a victim of a sinful act until the act is actually performed. This is very interesting to point out how Srila Prabhupada qualifies this statement throughout the rest of the purport. That we may be full of faults, there's no doubt. No one can argue. We have so many shortcomings. Our memory's fading. You can barely see. You can't hear too well. You can barely walk. There's so many things that you can barely taste anything when you eat, and then when you do eat, the stomach is giving so many problems. So it goes just on and on and on. You can't, there's not enough adjectives to describe the miserable condition of this material body. But despite all of that, simply by, as in previous ages, the thought simply, or thinking about a particular act manifested, or one became responsible, just as in the story of Ajamil. His contemplating of the prostitute entangled him immediately. Simply by his meditating on that couple, when he saw them embracing, he became entangled. But in this day and age, as Srila Prabhupada points out, by the mercy of the Lord, by the will of the Lord, because again, the Lord doesn't want us to suffer in this material world. Knowing the condition that, the circumstances that the living being has to deal with being in this day and age, the Lord has made it so simple and so easy that, okay, your mind is distracted, we'll give you some concession. Of course, Bhagavad Gita explains, Jayato Vishaya Pungshang. It's not that we just use that as an excuse. That, oh, okay, well, I'm just thinking about it. There's no harm. No. Krishna says that if you think about it long enough, it'll manifest. Just the thinking process is not the issue. It's just that when you start contemplating and you start entertaining that idea, and Srila Prabhupada describes this nicely in the beginning of Nectar Devotion, where he describes that the living entity is engaged, the bhakta is engaged in devotional activities, right? Karmana Manasa Gita. We're engaged in engaging our body and our mind. This thinking, feeling, and willing is activities of the mind. And when those activities are dwelt on, you're thinking about them long enough, they manifest in the form of willing. And at that level, one becomes responsible for what we're doing. I may be thinking about a particular gratification, thinking, then it increases to a feeling for it, but I don't act on it. We're still in a secure position, relatively. But as soon as you start willing, oh, okay, you know what? That looks such a nice drink. Maybe I could just taste it once. Or maybe I could just taste that food once, or maybe I could just talk with this woman in a lonely place, or man. What is the problem? No, that's not the fact. then you become immediately implicated. And Srila Prabhupada points that out here. The living being in this age is awarded, in this age is awarded with the results of pious acts. Ooh, this is interesting. Instead of being implicated in some karmic reaction by our thinking in past ages, in this day and age, simply by that thinking that process, which is actually considered one of the devotional activities, one of the 9 devotional activities, right? Smaranam. Simply by remembering the Supreme Lord, one is engaged in devotional service, and one is getting a spiritual benefit. Whereas in previous ages, just that thought would implicate one in some sinful activity or karmic reaction. He protected his subjects. Oh, this is interesting. Srila Prabhupada talks about how Maharaj Pariksit was not envious of the personality of Kali. Typically, we become envious when we see some competition, or that somebody's going to take some gratification from me. We become envious of it. So here, Maharaj Pariksit, being the most learned and experienced king by the grace of the Lord, he was given the instructions within the womb, and he had the association of Shukadeva Goswami. This is so important in our Krishna consciousness movement, that by proper association and executing the instructions of the spiritual master, one can rid oneself of this envy of other living beings. This is the special benefit of the process of bhakti. Because we're seeing that everyone, Vidyavinay Sampane Brahmanige Mahasni, the learned devotee, he sees that everyone is a part and parcel of the personality of Godhead, that the Lord is within all living beings. So where is the question of being envious? But in the material world, of course, it's quite the opposite, because the living beings are simply engaged in their own sense gratification. They're so immersed in the bodily concept of life. They have no idea that, and make no inquiry for that matter, into the problems of life, that it's me against the world. It's the same struggle. At the end of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that even though all nefarious activities of the personality of Kali are present, there's a great advantage in the age of Kali. Although the age is full of these anomalies, these different challenges that we have to deal with, still, as the Bhagavatam describes, again, Kalir Dosha Nidhe Rajan, that simply by engaging in Kirtanadi of Krishna Samukta Sangha Paramprajat, that simply by engaging in the Sankirtan process, the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, the full benefits, the Bhagavatam describes that also, right? Kalo Dantari Kirtanat, that all of the benefits which were available in previous ages, all of them have become, are given, or the results of all of those austerities or sacrifices that one may have performed in previous ages. All of those results are manifest in that, in the sacrifice of this age, and that is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And Prabhupada points out here that Maharaj Pariksit, he made a very organized effort to propagate this chanting of the holy names of the Lord, which is very important. That even in previous ages, again, because the leaders were very experienced, they were very knowledgeable, they were being guided by proper uh, learned people. They weren't just feeling it from the gut, like some people, like one politician says, "Oh well, I don't need any advisors. I just feel it in my gut." that what a what a what a moron! What kind of a statement is that? Unbelievable. But here, Maharaj Pariksit, in an organized fashion, he saved the citizens from the clutches of Kali and engaged them in the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. We can take lesson from that, that not only are the devotees taking great satisfaction and bliss, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, maschitta madgata prana. The devotees are taking great satisfaction and bliss from engaging in the process of Krishna bhakti, but the side effect is that all of the material desire, Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtan, all those dirty things, all those things which are disadvantages in this day and age, they become eradicated from the heart. The hard knot of material life and attachment is loosened. And this is again such a great advantage we have in this day and age, as Prabhupada points out here, that the great advantage. Where does he say that these sages that it is for this advantage only that great sages sometimes wish all good for the age of Kali. It's such a we have such an advantage given to us by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This Sankirtan process. This is glorified throughout the Bhagavatam, and we're seeing it practically in our daily lives. That when we chant the holy names of the Lord, all of these shortcomings, these disadvantages, these awkward positions, because again, it's an awkward condition that we've fallen into, as Prabhupada points out here. Because the living beings are in an awkward position. It's very awkward. Actually, it's embarrassing. Right? Bhagavatam says it's an embarrassing condition. It's embarrassing to have accepted this material body. Yarindriya pritaya pranoti. It's not that we had to accept this condition, but we've voluntarily, of our own volition, we've engaged in sinful activities, and we're forced now to accept this material body. It's an embarrassing condition. There's nothing pleasant about it. It's embarrassing. And we can cover it up with clothes and perfumes and cars and money and this thing, that thing, names, titles, but it's embarrassing. It's an embarrassing condition. Of course, again, the materialist may say, "Oh, this is so pessimistic. How can you get so down on the good things in this world?" But here, finally, Srila Prabhupada points out that these are some of the great advantages of the age of Kali. That is by recitation, by engaging in the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, by engaging our body, mind, and senses. Uh, and Maharaj Pariksit took advantage of all of these and did not think any ill of the age of Kali, true to his Vaishnavite cult. So we also um, want to take advantage, as Prabhupada points out, utility is the principle, right? We whatever utility we have, we try to engage it in Krishna's service. And that is the true way to survive in this day and age. Simply use whatever we have in Krishna's service. So I just want to do, just for a couple minutes, if there's no questions, I want to do just say for just a couple minutes about a recent visit we had to Hungary and the Czech Republic, and then Singhachalam, and then the Manor. It was so nice to see how excuse me? Where are the pictures? Oh, I have them on a movie camera. One of these days we'll show them. But I did take movies of these different places. But just briefly, I wanted to say that it's so nice to see how Srila Prabhupada has created such a wonderful Krishna conscious movement. That we sometimes we get stuck in our own little community, and we don't see how Krishna consciousness is expanded to other parts of the world in such a wonderful and glorious way. And there are so many shining examples. The Hungary farm, for instance, is a shining example, so much so that the government is now funding some of their activities, giving them regular grants. They're recognized by the government as a not a national heritage, as a government, as a landmark that people should come there and see. And actually they do. People from different countries come to see how this community has become self-sufficient, which it is. When they first started, it was just some rolling hills, nothing on it, just rolling hills. But in the last 25, some 30 years, since Shivaram Maharaj and so many other wonderful devotees who are helping have developed that program, they've planted, for instance, over 500,000 trees just on their property. Of I don't know, I forget how many he said, he's some 60 different or 120 different varieties of trees. Just incredible how they're able to recycle their water, their gray water, and filter it through a filtration system that they've done so that they can again drink it. They've developed so many nice different unique things about Krishna consciousness that have become so attractive. They get some 40,000 visitors every year that just want to come and tour this community, which has been, if you look at the map of Vrindavan in India, there's a certain layout of Vrindavan. They've taken that and they've, what's the word, superimposed it upon the development of their community, where you can go on parikram, you can go down to the Jamuna. They have a nice, beautiful, fresh spring that comes out at the base of one mountain, just like in, if you go to Gangotri, Jamuna comes out at the foot of a big glacier or a big mountain range, and she springs out in a beautiful transcendental spring, and develops ultimately into
Mother Ganga. So, and Jamunotri is also the same thing. Jamuna actually comes from a little um, crack between some cliffs, and she comes in the, and produce and she's produced or manifests as a beautiful river. So they also have this little stream out of a mountain at the base of some mountains, and it's developed into a beautiful, beautiful river. So it's called Jamuna. You can go along the Jamuna. You can go to the various um, um, pastime places of Lord Krishna. You can go to Keshi Ghat or Vangsi Ghat or uh, Nandagram. It's really, really wonderful the way they've organized it. Ending in the Goshala, where they have some very beautiful cows. They have some, I think it's around 50 or 60 cows. They grow their own food. They have a beautiful cellar, a one of those deep underground cellars that they've built Govardhan Hill on top of, and that was a very wonderful visit. The mood of the devotees is very special. Also, they love their deities, Radhe Sham, and um, engage in some wonderful kirtan. Then we went to the Czech Republic, where we visited a couple of very nice little preaching centers and a beautiful little farm. And uh, saw some of their preaching activities. They love also to go on Harinam. They go into the city square in Prague, where people are engaged. It's just like going to Santa Monica. I only saw two. They have five. I only saw two. We couldn't eat it. The food was really wonderful, actually. Um, but how many or restaurants, vegetarian vegan restaurants are there? There's 80. There's 80 in the city uh, for whatever reason. Um, but um, that was also a very nice visit. And then we went to Singhachalam, where Lord Nrsingadev is. This is a very wonderful community as well. That's gone through a lot of changes over the years, but it has some very wonderful, strong new devotees who are very eager to hear from um, uh, passing devotees, visiting devotees. So we had some very nice discussions, and the deity, Lord Nrsingadev, is very nicely serviced. He looks, if you get an opportunity, go online, take a close up of him. He looks uh, stunning. Just a fabulous deity, and they're so welcoming of devotees to come and visit. And then we finished up going over to the manor, where I think the thing that most struck me about the manor is their cow protection program. They're doing such an excellent program service in taking care of the cows. They have some 80 cows and in bulls, and they have a nice little kitchen that's right next to the Goshala, where they use the cow's milk to make nice sweets for the deities. All these places, by the way, whatever dairy they're using are coming from ahimsa sources, which is a very good example. So, point again being, just to wrap it up, that it's so nice to see how Srila Prabhupada has developed such a nice worldwide movement. He's given all of us the tools to spread Krishna consciousness, and we just have to take advantage of them. As here Maharaj Pariksit, he took advantage of all of the um, advantages. He took advantage of them. And we should also take advantage of some of the nice things that Srila Prabhupada has given us. So in there, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.